So, it's been a little bit since my last Kingdom Hearts video. Well, I thought I might as well get another one out because I have the perfect topic to fit the spooky vibes of the current holiday season. That's right, Happy National Publicist Day. But alright, let's get into the most spooky world in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. No, I'm not talking about Monstro, I'm talking about Halloween Town.
Sure is spooky!
Halloween Town is definitely in the top 20 worlds in Kingdom Hearts 1. Hell, I go as far to say it's top 15. But in all seriousness, Halloween Town in KH1 is easily my favorite version of the world. The environments, the level design, the story being told, all of it is immaculately done. It's only competing with Neverland for my favorite Disney world in the game, and while Neverland might come out on top most of the time, that's not really due to anything wrong with October 31st Town. My only major complaint with the world is that maybe the story visit can feel a bit repetitive. At the beginning of the world, Dr. Finkelstein tasks you with gathering memory from Sally, so you go get that and then come back. He then tasks you with gathering surprise, you go and play a very easy but charming Simon minigame, you get it from the inside of a giant pumpkin, hopefully not covered in pumpkin guts, and then head back. There might be a bit too much back and forth for my liking, though it's far from the worst example of this in KH1. Deep Jungle's story is pretty much entirely dedicated to going back and forth between the camp and the treehouse, but regardless, this is a pretty minor issue in the grand scheme of things. I guess my only other quote-unquote issue that I can think of is that sometimes the blue and red command system can get on my nerves a bit. I usually find the system perfectly fine. I think it can actually enhance a lot of otherwise unnoteworthy moments in the game, and I think during the story visit it's perfectly fine, but it does get on my nerves a bit during post-game exploration, since a lot of the rooms in this world require you to interact with objects to move between them. Grinding for materials to get the Ultima weapon was incredibly annoying when I had to enter this world, especially those dumbass black fungus at Moonlight Hill, though I guess that's not a fault with Halloween Town specifically, and more so just the fault of the black fungus for having the indecency to exist in the first place. Anyway, Halloween Town is great. While I might find constantly having to interact with random objects to progress annoying in the post-game, during the story visit it makes the world feel so unique. Halloween Town is about chaos, and finding all these secret interactables to slowly traverse your way to Oogie Boogie's hideout makes the place feel so much more mysterious and rewarding to actually find. I love all the tiny secrets in this world, and there are a lot of them. The cemetery area existing at all, the various fire lifts scattered throughout the world to make traveling between the rooms far simpler, the 2 treasure chests in the Pumpkin's Mouth and Guillotine Square? This world is full of lovingly crafted and super dense areas filled with secrets. KH1 is like this in general, but worlds like this, Hollow Bastion, Wonderland, Traverse Town, they're easily some of the best worlds in the entire series to actually explore, simply because the developers put so much care and effort into spots that don't quote-unquote actually matter. But they matter to me, because I'm crazy. The story is very simple, but quite interesting. The Halloween Town residents already knowing what the Heartless are is such a weird thing that happens, but it also feels right. And I love the artificial heart stuff because it really opens the door on KH's theme of what is a heart. Hearts are something that can be found in data, in toys, in frozen snow monsters, but the artificial heart doesn't actually work. Or it kind of does, because Oogie is able to summon at least 2 Heartless. Does that mean there are different levels to a heart's potency? And is it just because of the intention? Can a heart not be created, but only something that happens to be? And why does Oogie Boogie not get a heart when characters like Pinocchio or Tron get one? Is it because of his association with darkness? Do characters like Sark and Clue not get a heart either? It's a very interesting topic in my opinion. Okay, let's talk about the boss fights. I might have said I got all my negatives with the world out of the way, but I do have a secret third complaint. Lock, Shock, and Barrel is one of the worst boss fights in the entire game. I might have it higher than Genie Jafar, Rock Titan, and maybe Behemoth. I guess you'll have to wait for my KH1 boss ranking to see if that stays consistent. But even then, it is a dreadful encounter. At least it's evocative of the true Lock lock, shock, and barrel experience because it's so chaotic that I can just not tell what's going on at any point during the fight. I just mash X and hope for the best. The room is so small and claustrophobic, the camera might be the worst it is across the entire game. It's horrible, you know it's horrible. Let's move on to an actually good fight. You know, Oogie Boogie has a really good track record with boss fights in this series, and his first fight in KH1 might be at the top of that already stacked list. Like, sure, it does involve a lot of waiting, but I think a fight like this is pretty much perfect for the type of villain Oogie is. He doesn't do a lot of fighting, so having to dodge his machines and build up a way to get to attack him, it's great. A lot of people probably don't even know about his healing machine, and while it could potentially be annoying, it's such a rare thing to encounter during the fight, I more so think of it as a fun Easter egg. It's also fun how the two Heartless he summons before the fight stick around. That is pure dedication. I think my only issue with the fight is that I wish his big explosion attack did damage. I get that it's just there to send you back to the ground, but it looks like it should do damage, and I think it'd be fun if you had to roll out of the way of it. It'd make the portion where you just beat on Oogie more engaging since you're always on edge, waiting for him to unleash the bomb he stashed inside his sack. But maybe it'd be a bit too beginner unfriendly. I don't know, I still think it'd be neat. And after you defeat the limp bag of bugs and worms, he possesses his own house, and then fights you again. Which is not something I think happens very much in media. I guess maybe Monster House has something like that? I don't know, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But Oogie's Manor, while I do think it's worse than the non-house version of Oogie, it's still pretty fun. It has that staple KH1 clunky, but still really engaging platforming in its veins. And I do really like KH1's platforming. There's not really a lot to say about it. It's basically your initial climb up the manor, but now you have to beat the shit out of a bunch of dark blobs, one of my most valued hobbies. It also really lagged my game towards the end of the fight, making a lot of my footage entirely unusable. So I'm putting it in the video, out of spite. There's also the Chimera Heartless, which only appears in this world's post-game. It's definitely one of the better Final Mix exclusive Heartless, probably because it has an actual unique design. The fight itself is fine, you just have to deplete its armor bar and then it starts spewing heads from its body. How relatable is that? And the more you reflect back at it, the higher the chance for a rare drop. At the end of the day, this just means equip Aroga and mash X. Chimera is a bit more annoying to fight than it should be though. To respawn Special Heartless, you always have to move 2 rooms away. In most cases, this is no big deal, but with Chimera, because Halloween Town needs you to interact with so much stuff to move between rooms, it's more involved than I think is necessary. You have to go back to the bridge, then back to Moonlight Hill, and then to go back to the bridge again, you have to interact with this grave, which potentially means clearing the room of Heartless. I don't know, it's just kind of annoying. But yeah, Halloween Town is pretty peak. You know what else is peak? Read Chain of Memories. Why are you giving me that look?
How could you be scared of something that can be so thrilling?
Read Chain of Memories isn't exactly the game I go to when looking for really good Disney Worlds and Kingdom Hearts. I mean, why would I? Outside of 100 Acre Wood, which is a bit of a special case, the Disney Worlds are basically just palette swaps of each other. The only ways that you differ gameplay-wise are the bosses, sometimes a unique friend card, and the occasional unique scenario. For example, Halloween Town and Agrabah have an enemy encounter when you enter the world, Monstro has the Belly Brawl minigame, but with these unique scenarios, they're pretty much just the game's combat, with very minor stipulations. Sure, some worlds have unique obstacles in their level design. Wonderland requires you to defeat some flowers to open doors. Monstro has the clocks that stop enemies. Hollow Bastion has platforms that require switches to activate and these shocking diamonds. But these are pretty few and far between and not the standard. And yes, these worlds have different storylines to them, but most are painfully simple retellings of their KH1 version. Olympus Coliseum, Monstro, Atlantica, Neverland, 100 Acre Wood, they all follow this formula, and when the worlds don't follow the formula, they just kind of suck. Agrabah's story is the exact same thing happening 3 times, and then Jafar attacks. It's also odd how some of the worlds explore Chain of Memories themes of, well, memories, but most don't. Wonderland has the Queen of Hearts trying to find her lost memories in the most Queen of Hearts way possible. Olympus Coliseum vaguely mentions Cloud looking for his lost memories, but outside of these, and one more example, none of the other worlds really explore this topic. And maybe they simply didn't want to be repetitive, I think I'd understand that, but I think at least the majority of the world should have memory themes. Okay, so what is this incredibly long-winded and very un-Halloween themed discussion been leading us to? Well, I just kind of wanted to explain why Halloween Town is one of my favorite Disney worlds in Chain of Memories. It's not a high bar, there really isn't much competition when it comes to Disney worlds, but it does do a lot right. The only Disney worlds I'd put above Halloween Town are 100 Acre Wood and Wonderland, the former being a well-needed break with fun minigames, and the latter having a fun and unique story, being one of two Disney worlds that have multiple boss fights and the interesting vine-covered doors. But anyway, Halloween Town has a pretty compelling story in Recom. Sure, it is kind of a KH1 retelling, but they tweak it in very nice ways. Instead of an artificial heart, Dr. Finkelstein creates a potion that reveals people's true memories when they drink it. Sally steals it out of fear of what it could do, and before SDG and Jack can get it back from her, Oogie Boogie steals it, drinks it, which puts him into a state of great fear, and then he dies. There's some pretty interesting symbolism going on, and there's a few ways that this can be interpreted, but here's my interpretation. Dr. Finkelstein is Marluxia, Sally is Naminé, SCG and Jack are the organization, and Oogie Boogie is Sora. Just hear me out. Dr. Finkelstein does not want the potion to fall into the wrong hands, aka Marluxia does not want Sora to find out the truth about his memories. Sally steals the potion and tries her best to help, despite being under Dr. Finkelstein's control, aka Naminé appears in Sora's memories during Destiny Islands to try her best to help, despite being under Marluxia and the organization's control. When this happens, instead of going after her himself, Finkelstein sends 4 willing subordinates in SDG and Jack, aka Marluxia sends Larxene, Axel, and Vexen to do his dirty work. Because of Sally, Oogie Boogie finds out about the potion, obtains it, consumes it, and is scared about the results of what he finds. AKA, Sora finds out his memories are fake because of Naminé, and hates it because it reveals that their past friendship was all a lie. Oogie Boogie dies, and Sora gets put into an egg pod. There's definitely something here. But even outside of a pretty solid story, Halloween Town has some of the most interesting obstacles in the game. These, like, monster fountain things and guillotines are one of the few objects in the game that cannot be destroyed in any way, which causes them to be a constant thorn in your side when exploring. I mean, they're nothing mind-blowing, but for Chain of Memories, these are top tier. Even though they were both taken directly from Kingdom Hearts 2, god damn it! Jack Skellington is a fine friend card. He's kind of just a different version of Donald, casting fire, blizzard, and thunder, and then replacing Donald's cure with a gravity spell. The number of spells he casts can change: 1 spell if you use him normally, 2 for surprise level 2, and 3 for surprise level 3. This contrasts to Donald's constant casting of 2 spells. I don't know, he's fine, but I'd probably rather use Donald in most situations. That reminds me, Sora, Donald, and Goofy are in their Halloween Town outfits during the world, which is to be expected, but still. But Riku and Mickey just have darker lighting applied to their models. I mean, I get it. Recom is mostly reused assets from KH1, and these two didn't have Halloween Town designs to pull, but it would have been cool to see them get them, but whatever. That just leaves the boss of the world, Oogie Boogie, and sad to say, Recom definitely has the worst Oogie Boogie fight in the series. But it's not like it's bad, Oogie just has a really high bar to his fights. I like the concept of it a lot. You have to break Oogie's cards to lower the gate, which will allow you to attack Oogie. It's a fun spin on his KH1 fight and fits really well within Recom's combat system. But I just wish Oogie had literally any way to threaten you. Before making this video, I had no idea that Oogie had actual attacks. I thought the only challenge was breaking his cards and maybe getting hit by the dice he throws. I had no clue that if you didn't break his card, the arena will react depending on the numbers he rolls on his dice, just like in KH1. All these attacks are actually directly pulled from KH1 as well. Rolling a 1 summons Sauls, which move around the arena, rolling a 2, 3, or 5 summons 2 Gargoyles, 2 White Knights, and 2 Search Ghosts respectively, and rolling a 6 activates his healing machine. The only one that's kind of different is when he rolls a 4. He summons knives just like in KH1, but instead of simply dodging them, you have to break another card to stop them moving forward. This is cool, but again, before this point, I had never seen any of these moves in my entire life. It is just way too easy to find a card that can easily break his. Unless you're playing as Riku, he doesn't even have any 9 cards, so you can cruise through this entire fight exclusively spamming 9s and 8s. And I guess if you don't organize your decks, this fight might be pretty hectic, but that's your own fault. Or you're playing as Riku, which in that case, it's also your own fault. You might be saying, well, what if you run out of cards and have to reload? And the problem is, his attacks last for so long that you can easily reload while he's attacking and still have time to break his card. And if you're really worried that this will happen, just simply reload every time you break his card. I really wish this fight was more challenging, but sadly, I think it's the easiest fight in the entire game. At least guard armor can potentially hit you. And hey, this world is obviously one of the best in Recom, because it has the scene of Oogie Boogie tackling Sally to the ground. This game is amazing. Well, I had a surprising amount to say about Recom in this video. Let's get to the game people actually care about now.
Sort of makes you wonder why we are scared of the dark.
It's because of who's lurking inside it.
I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Halloween Town is not that high on my KH2 world ranking. I'd probably give it 8th place, which is smack dab in the middle of KH2's 15 worlds. It is some really neat stuff about it, and it's far from a bad world in KH2, but it has a lot of issues in my opinion. Alright, so in previous videos, specifically in the Swimming in Kingdom Hearts video, I have previously lambasted KH2 for its level design. I kind of hate how flat and lifeless the game's environments feel, and while Halloween Town doesn't have the worst design of the game, it's pretty fucking close. The world consists of 11 total rooms, and with the exception of the Moonlight Hill and Christmas Tree Plaza, all these rooms are lined up in a line. The way you travel through the world is by going in a straight line, which is incredibly riveting. Sure, there are some non-enemy obstacles, I guess. Guillotine Square has a guillotine, a fountain that shoots projectiles at you, grates that shoot poisonous gas, tombstones that can fall and damage you. And yeah, these are neat, KH2, and really most games in the series don't have a lot of obstacles like this in their world, but I don't feel like it's enough. These obstacles add to the chaos of Halloween Town, but when Halloween Town feels so tiny, so claustrophobic, I don't think it matters that much. It also doesn't help that out of the 5 total rooms that make up Halloween Town in this game, 4 of them are returning areas from KH1, except heavily stripped down. Christmas Town has 6 rooms in it, which I guess is an improvement, but when 3 of the rooms are dedicated to Santa's workshop, my generosity runs out pretty quickly. But Christmas Town is an incredible addition to the world. It always felt weird that KH1 only focused on half of the movie, just the nightmare before. KH2 does finally add the Christmas part, and that's very welcome. I think expanding its returning worlds is something KH2 does pretty well for the most part. Olympus Coliseum, 100 Acre Wood, and Halloween Town have very meaningful additions to them, which makes them feel justified in being returning worlds. Sure, Agrabah and Atlantica have no meaningful expansions to them, and I hate both of those worlds in KH2, but what can you do? Alright, the Disney Worlds in KH2 have 2 visits to them, something I've always been a bit mixed on, but I do have to admit it adds a lot of variety, which KH2 really likes doing. Except when it comes to creating varied level design, but whatever. Let's look over both Halloween Town visits individually because I have nothing better to do. Halloween Town 1 has an interesting story to it. It's pretty much just the movie plot, but because Oogie died in the last game, they had to throw Maleficent in to revive him. I don't know how she can just do that, but hey, it's better than Atlantica just straight up not explaining how Ursula got revived. No, saying she got revived by the power of darkness in the journal is not good enough. And if I have to say anything nice about this world, Oogie Boogie is in incredible form in it. Honestly, it might top his KH1 appearance. I absolutely love how even though Maleficent literally brought him back to life, he just says like, "Fuck you, lady, you're kind of ruining my whole vibe. Could you just leave?" Speaking of that, this might be the lowest moment for Maleficent in the entire franchise. In the last game, she was the main villain for 90% of the runtime, and in its sequel, she is fucking around in Halloween Town, kidnapping Santa Claus so she can turn him into Santa Heartless, and gets bossed around by a previous henchman. I don't blame her for leaving before Sora finds out she's here. I would be embarrassed as hell too. But outside of the bosses, Halloween Town does not have a ton of gameplay variety. I guess you have to follow the 3 troublemakers' footsteps to Moonlight Hill. Riveting. But where do those footsteps take you? Well, our first boss, the Prison Keeper. It's okay, I guess, but it's probably the least memorable Heartless boss in the game. It's far from my least favorite. It's definitely better than Grim Reaper 1 or the Blizzard of Volcanic Lords. It's just pretty forgettable. It is the gimmick of being piloted around by Lock, Shock, and Barrel, and depending on which one the boss is channeling, it'll do different attacks. That's kind of interesting, but I don't know, it's just kind of okay overall. But the final boss of Halloween Town 1 is far more interesting, because we have Oogie Boogie. I know this boss might be a bit controversial, and it is worse than his KH1 fight, but I don't care, I still really like it. It might just be because it's one of the few KH2 fights with an interesting arena. These 3 conveyor belts are very easy to understand, but give the fight such a unique identity. I think the obstacles are pretty fun to avoid. The punching glove and lasers have unique timings to them that make them interesting to encounter, especially when Oogie starts mixing the 2 attacks together later in the fight. It's so satisfying to use the reaction command on the presents, lobbing them up to shatter Oogie's platform. I get why it's controversial. It doesn't use a lot of KH2's combat, which is a very beloved aspect of the game, but at the end of the day, I just think it's really fun. It's pretty short too, which means if you don't like it, it doesn't take too long to overcome. And that's Halloween Town 1. It's okay, it's just a pretty standard world visit in KH2. I wish it maybe had a bit more variety outside of the bosses, but the charm of Halloween and Christmas Town carry this visit to pretty high places. But Halloween Town 2's plot is actually really cool. The main focus of the visit is the experiment. It's been said many times before, but the experiment is a really neat parallel to the organization and Nobody's as a whole. It's a being that wants a heart more than anything, so it steals presents because they give people joy, and that's what it views a heart as. It's honestly really tragic, and it does kind of foreshadow the end of the game because Sora just kind of blindly murders it without hesitation. And hey, Halloween Town 2 technically has more variety than the first visit. There's the gift wrapping minigame. It definitely exists. I do kind of like it during the story visit because it actually plays into what's going on in the narrative, but during the post-game as a high score minigame, I could not care less. There's also this moment in Guillotine Square where you have to defeat a bunch of Heartless that have presents inside them and collect 4 of them. So at least there's that, but sadly the 2 boss fights in this visit are definitely worse than the first 2. First is Lock, Shock, and Barrel. I don't know, I guess it's better than their Cage 1 fights. At least the room is large enough to breathe in. You gotta deplete their health and then launch presents into them to trap them. Trap all 3 to win. That's fine, but these presents are weirdly frustrating to actually aim for me, coupled with the fact that the troublemakers can sometimes escape the presents if you don't defeat the other 2 quick enough. And yeah, this one is one of my least favorite fights in the entire game. And I guess the final boss of the second visit is an improvement. You fight the Experiment, and this boss is entirely relying on its story context to get by, because the actual fight is just kind of annoying. I really hate the phase where its head is rolling around the arena, because it's just so easy to get clipped by it. And when you finally do get the chance to activate the reaction command, sometimes it straight up doesn't work. But outside of that, it's a fine fight. Again, it's really carried by its neat backstory and the really awesome design that feels ripped right out of The Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's pretty flawed, and I definitely like Oogie Boogie more. So yeah, Halloween Town is kind of a mixed bag in this game from an objective standpoint, but I can't hate on it too much. The environment is just so charming, and I absolutely love how they gave SCG Christmas Town outfits and made new music tracks specifically for the Christmas Town areas. In KH2 Final Mix, and the original PS2 version of KH2, they just have SCG keep their Halloween Town outfits and have the same 2 music tracks across the entire world. What the hell? The original version of KH2 was such an anomaly. The only super boss was Sephiroth, no Roxas fight, no 2 become 1 Keyblade, no limit form, no dodge roll, no Cavern of Remembrance, no puzzle pieces, but this is probably the most egregious thing they originally didn't include. Speaking of Final Mix exclusive stuff, I should probably talk about the 2 post-game minigames. You can do some skateboarding in Santa's Workshop. This is only notable because it allows you to completely cheese the Pro Skater trophy. Mushroom number 2 is also located in the Christmas Tree Plaza. You gotta reflect its projectiles back at it, and it's probably one of the better Mushroom 13. That's not a high bar at all, but still. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Let's finally talk about the time Halloween Town was on a system with 2 whole screens.
Scared is not an emotion that can exist inside us.
Well, I am scared right now for sure.
Halloween Town has always been one of the lesser worlds in 358 over 2 days, at least in my opinion. That might seem a bit surprising, but once you realize the holiday-themed world has by far the worst boss in the entire game, and some of the lamer additions to its environment, it kind of makes sense. To be fair to Days, excluding Neverland, which is almost entirely original, all of its Disney worlds are entirely based on their KH1 or 2 versions. But Agrabah has entirely new Cave of Wonders area, Beast Castle has the new upper level of the castle, Olympus has original arenas, and Wonderland has some hedge mazes. None of these are very substantial additions, with maybe the exception of Agrabah. I mean, it's not a very good Cave of Wonders, but it is better than the KH2 version, if that's anything at all. But anyway, even though these expansions are almost nothing, they somehow managed to absolutely dominate what Halloween Town has to add to its world. The only new room is Boneyard 2, and I don't even know if that counts because it's a slightly expanded version of KH1's cemetery area. But alright, Halloween Town has 10 missions to its name and days. Let's see what they could do by going over all of them. I'll also give each mission a score from 1 to 5 because I want to. Side note, I played all of these missions in mission mode, and they're slightly different than they are in story mode. I didn't really want to replay Days just to get footage of the specific missions, so I hope you'll forgive me. The first mission is Mission 42. It's definitely a mission in Days, I'll give it that much. You take out a bunch of skater bombs and creepworms in Halloween Town Square. Go to the graveyard and take down 5 hover ghosts. There's also a very loose story about Jack Skellington not knowing what to do for Halloween. This mission is only notable because it's the first one in a new world. Other than that, I got nothing. 2 out of 5. Mission 45 is more noteworthy because there's actually a unique gimmick here. Jack has set up these bug balloons in town, and interacting with them might spawn some Heartless to kill. You also have to get Zero to point out more spots, and you can spawn Heartless by giving him a bone. For some reason, mission mode doesn't have Zero in it, you just have to find the spots yourself, so the footage I've been showing is from Pacey8444. This is fun, I like interacting with Disney characters, and this is one of the few times Days lets you do that. 3 out of 5. Mission 52 is kind of the exact same as Mission 45 for most of it, the same bug balloons, the same Zero finding Heartless, but this mission has something very special in it. Once you reach Moonlight Hill again, you're greeted by Lock, Shock, and Barrel, who throw another pumpkin bomb at you. But instead of listening to Vexen's advice about bullies and ignoring them, Roxas takes out his Keyblade and absolutely beats the shit out of these 3 kids. This might be the best Lock, Shock, and Barrel fight in this series because of the catharsis of finally beating up these twerps. In Cage 1 and 2, they're little more than general nuisances, but in Days, you feel Roxas's frustration right alongside him. It's also kind of interesting because outside of this, the only other Disney boss Days has is Pete's fight in Agrabah. But yeah, Lock, Shock, and Barrel are far from this world's best boss, but they're also far, far from its worst. 4 out of 5. After Mission 52, Mission 45 better keep up the momentum. You walk into Halloween Town Square and defeat a single dual blade. And then that's it. Okay, 1 out of 5. Mission 62 could be worse, I guess. You have to defeat 20 hover ghosts in the first boneyard area, which is just absurd. But once you get through all that, you have to do this little puzzle that involves you launching pumpkin bombs into 4 lanterns in Moonlight Hill. This also happened in Mission 52, but with everything else that mission had, I forgot to mention it. No, I can't go back and change that section. What am I, a carpenter? But yeah, these are cool. I like puzzle sections in Kingdom Hearts games, and if you don't like puzzle sections in Kingdom Hearts games, you can just use fire on the lanterns to light them instead. If you brought it, of course. The mission's final challenge is the Carrier Ghost, a slightly upgraded version of the Hover Ghost. I don't know, it's really, really boring. It just floats high above the ground, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to chase it up there. Thankfully, I had an aerial combo focused build, which made the encounter pretty easy, but if you don't, good luck. There's also a cutscene foreshadowing the mission I'm sure you're dying to hear me talk about. 2 out of 5. And here we are, in arguably the game's most infamous mission, Mission 66. It's the Leechgrave mission. I'm not gonna go on a 40-minute rant about this boss because I feel like every interesting thing I could possibly say has already been said by creators far more talented than I. I'm just gonna say that this sucks ass. For those unfamiliar, for the Leechgrave fight, it just sits in the center of the arena and forces you to defeat 4 enemies that surround it, the Tentaclaws. Once you defeat the 4 Tentaclaws, the Leechgrave itself becomes vulnerable. You attack, it gets back up, repeat. This is a fine boss idea on paper, but when you realize how annoying the Tentaclaws are to actually defeat, the fact that you already had to fight 9 of them in the lead up to the boss, so the enemies have lost all novelty, the fact that Days has a resource system, and that you can run out of magic to attack the Tentaclaws, which makes them go down way faster than your Keyblade swings, the fact that the Leechgrave is only vulnerable long enough to get maybe 2 Keyblade combos off on him, the fact that he has way too much health for his own good, yeah, you realize why this boss fight is so loathed in the wider Cage community. And the worst part is that this is a really neat concept for a boss. It eats other Heartless and has been basically terrorizing Halloween Town's Heartless population, which is why so many missions involve you having to open bug balloons or inspect spots on the ground to get them to spawn. This boss had so much potential, but instead, we got the Leechgrave. 1 out of 5. Mission 72 is next. So you know the iconic Mission 52, which makes you defeat a dual blade in Guillotine Square? Well, Mission 72 is the exact same, but now there are 2 dual blades. This is awesome. 1 out of 5. Mission 79 is actually really cool. There's not much in terms of actual gameplay, but story-wise, it's a different story. Gameplay-wise, you fight some hover ghosts and icy cubes in Guillotine Square, then fight some icy cubes, a snowy crystal, and Chill Ripper on the bridge. But weirdly enough, when Roxas starts the mission, he makes note that Xigbar has apparently already started it, and you're supposed to join up with them. And halfway through, there's this awesome cutscene where Xigbar fires on a bunch of shadows from above. Afterward, there's some fun character interactions where Roxas thinks the snowy crystal is the big heartless they were tasked with hunting down. And after the Chill Ripper spawns and you defeat it, Xigbar chides Roxas and tells him he's teaching him to always stay on his feet. He says it in the most Xigbar way possible, but hey, it's something. I don't know, Days doesn't really do this stuff very often, which makes this very basic throwaway mission pretty memorable. I wish more stuff like this happened during the game. If Roxas just had fun character moments with organization members with the basic ass missions where you just kill some heartless and leave, I think the game would be improved greatly. In the last mission with the 2 dual blades, you had Luxord as a partner, and if he talked to Roxas before and after the battle about what his favorite Mike Myers movie was, it'd be a lot more enjoyable. But yeah, Mission 79 gets a solid 4 out of 5. Speak of the devil, Mission 87 is a basic-ass mission where you defeat 3 windstorms in Guillotine Square. I don't know, let Demix be here and have him complain that the windstorm fucked his hair up or something. 1 out of 5. Alright, and our final mission is Mission 88, and this is a big one because this isn't just a highlight of Halloween Town, but the entire game. It starts out as a basic mission where Roxas goes to the graveyard to fight a heartless boss, the Orcus. Axel then stops Roxas, revealing that the organization disguised Xion as an Orcus and Roxas as an Orcus and made them fight each other, with the hope that one of them would come out on top. There's a plotline in the game where Xion is kind of stealing Roxas' power because she wasn't supposed to exist, and there can't be both of them existing at the same time. When this is revealed to the organization, they decide that since one is going to be useless anyway, they might as well kill one of them and pit Roxas and Xion against each other to see who's truly stronger. I don't know how the organization disguised them as Orcuses. Zexion is long dead and he's their signature illusion maker, but whatever. This mission is kind of the catalyst for the endgame. It's when the revelation that Roxas and Xion cannot coexist truly becomes unignorable. I think all our 3 characters knew this by this point, subconsciously or not, but this is when it becomes impossible to put aside. This mission is the reason Xion gives herself up to Riku. It's one of the game's most memorable moments for me, and it is masterfully done. And in a way, it foreshadows the endgame. Axel tries everything he possibly can to keep his newfound family together, but in the end, these 2 were destined to destroy each other. 5 out of 5. Well, those are all the missions and days. I gave 4 of them a 1 out of 5, 2 a 2 out of 5, 1 a 3 out of 5, 2 a 4 out of 5, and 1 a 5 out of 5. So pretty hit or miss, though so many of them are just straight up bad that I think my opinion of Halloween Town being one of the game's weaker worlds is justified. I should also mention that part of the Xion final boss takes place in Halloween Town, specifically the second part. I really like that Xion takes you to different worlds in the game, with the first place happening in Wonderland, the third in Agrabah, and the final in Twilight Town. Weird that Beast Castle, Olympus Coliseum, and Neverland get shafted, especially Neverland since it's the game's most original Disney World, but I guess they only had so much budget for boss fights. But yeah, like most of the Xion fight, the Halloween Town portion is excellent. I love how her weapon looks like it's been ripped right out of Oogie Boogie's lair. Gameplay-wise, I think it's my least favorite of the 4 phases. I don't know, her Ragnarok-esque attack just gave me a lot of trouble in my first playthrough, though that might literally be a skill issue. I also think the other phases have far more interesting gimmicks, but it's far from bad, especially for a Days boss. So that's Halloween Town in Days. Probably the weakest iteration of the world, but I don't know, it might have a leg up on Recom just because Days worlds are so much more diverse than Recom's, but I don't know, it kind of just depends on how I'm feeling that day. But let's move on to our final game.
I'm afraid the answer you seek lies in memories that are long gone.
Yeah, I'm sure you completely forgot, but Melody of Memory is a canon entry in the Kingdom Hearts series, which means I have to talk about it. From Halloween Town comes the tracks This Is Halloween and Spooks of Halloween Town from Kingdom Hearts 1, and Happy Holidays and What a Surprise from Kingdom Hearts 2. Rowdy Rumble is also a song that takes place on Cage 2's Halloween Town, which is honestly an odd choice. It does appear in the world for the Lock, Shock, and Barrel fight, but since Pete is so associated with the track, I think Timeless River would have been a better choice. But anyway, yeah, it's neat that both the Cage 1 tracks and Cage 2 Christmas Town tracks are in the game, but I don't have a lot to say besides that. I love Melody of Memory, but it's really hard to talk about specific worlds because they're basically all the same. The most notable thing about Halloween Town in this game is that Jack Skellington isn't a party member. Worlds like Agrabah, Beast Castle, Neverland, even Deep Space have their respective party members joining you for their songs. It's probably because Melmem was a far smaller title for the KH team, so they tried to avoid what might have been more costly additions to license for the game. This is probably why Tron doesn't appear as a party member in Space Paranoids, and why Port Whale and the Caribbean just aren't here at all. So yeah, kind of interesting, but a bit disappointing as the last discussion point in this video. I guess that's what I get for going by release order. Well, that was that. This video kind of ballooned out of proportion a little bit. It was supposed to be a quicker, simpler vid to get out for a Halloween special, but the script ended up being over 7,000 words long. Sometimes I worry myself. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. This video took a lot out of me, to be honest. Maybe if you subscribed, I'd feel a little bit better. Alright, thank you so much for watching until the end. I appreciate it a whole lot. I'll see you in the next one.